Valentine's Day is one of my favorite holidays aesthetically, and after watching the Nosferatu remake recently, I've been craving an illustration with a darker, gothic, vampire-esque feel. I think this concept meshes well with Valentine aesthetics, especially with red being the primary accent color of the piece. So that's what I'll be working on today, and I want to take you through my process. After searching through Pinterest for pose ideas, I came across this photo and I love the idea of putting my OC dog in front of a giant mirror with a lipstick bottle, so it's what I stuck with. I think it suits him super well. I admit I'm quite the cheater when it comes to drawing dog's face. Owning ball jointed dolls of your OCs is incredible because I can easily take images at any angle I want, either reference or trace over. It helps a lot with keeping his face consistent, especially on days when I'm particularly struggling. Of course, I have to hugify his eyes, because even though he's a doll, it's still not big enough for my tastes. This pose was a bit trickier than I thought it was going to be, especially his arm in the reflection. I had to edit this damn arm again and again and again. I got quite frustrated with it, but I think it turned out well enough in the end. For the mirror shape, I decided to go for something rounded instead. I think having a mirror with a thick fancy border is a lot more gothic feeling than what you'd see in the reference, and a lot prettier. I do feel like the line version coming up turned out a bit more cyber feeling than 100% gothic, but I think that suits dog pretty well because he's a mix of aesthetics anyway. Also, you'll see me using a lot of 3D models and different assets during my process because I am not one for drawing things by hand when I don't have to. Can you imagine drawing the chandelier by hand? Could not be me. I love living in an age of 3D models and endless resources. The Clip Studio Paint asset store is truly my lifeblood. It saves so much time and by extension, my pathetic wrists. I'll be linking everything I'm using in this piece in the description if y'all are interested. To spice up this 3D model a little bit, I decided to paint over the candlesticks. Recently, I came across these black candles that have red wax on the inside. So when they melt, red drips down the sides and they look all bloody and cool. It's aesthetic as hell and I really want them. So for now, I will just live vicariously through dog until I get around to buying them myself. And now I'm moving on to my favorite part, which is detailing lashes. I was working on a commission last month, and while I was rendering the eyes, I noticed an accidental heart shape in the lower lash line, and oh my god, this was revolutionary. This changed something in me. From now on, there will be hearts in every single eye that I draw. This will be the staple of my style. It is so good. If you couldn't already tell, I'm obsessed with heart shapes. They're just perfect. But perhaps that's just the insane Kingdom Hearts fan in me coming through. Also, a little fun fact about Dog is that he started off as this one DeviantArt cloned species called Kabanzu. If you know, you know. I was obsessed with them for a while, and when I eventually distanced myself from the community, I, of course, turned him into a basic wolf instead. In these feral forms of his, he always had this little star shape on his forehead, and recently I've been incorporating that design aspect onto his human form. It's cute and fun, and I like the Y2K liquid metal feel of it, so I think that's another detail that's here to stay as well. And about these nails, oh my god, y'all, I've had a crazy discovery. Press on nails, you know? I never realized people on Etsy were going absolutely insane with these designs that can be custom made for the size of your nail. Like, I'm in awe. There are so many wild designs that are very like claw shaped, and I need all of them. And I found these ones that I'm drawing on dog here that have piercings through the nail, and it's so perfect. I've been on this whole piercing journey myself, and I've been taking Dog, my perfect little dress-up doll, along the ride with me, and he's been absolutely covered in piercings these days. So finding nails that also have piercings in them, it was made to be. I need them on him, and I need them on me. It has to happen. And with that, we've gotten to his fit being sketched. My biggest inspo for his clothing is Creepy Yeha. I've been obsessed with her looks for years, especially her pearl belts. They're so elegant. I experimented with a few different outfit options, but in the end, I decided to go for what you see here, as it fits the overall vibe of the drawing best. Basically, everything he is wearing is from her designs. He's wearing the Eden corset, Valentine choker and cuffs, and her Irving belt, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but instead of white pearls, they're black. And this black pearl brush made my life so much easier, because rendering each pearl one by one would have been incredibly time consuming, and I really only gave myself 3 days to finish this illustration, so I had to zoom. The only thing not from Creepy Yeha is the ribbon stockings. Funnily enough, I found these on an Instagram ad randomly one day, and I've been wanting Dog to wear them ever since. But I swear, one day I will get around to collecting all of my favorite pieces from Creepy Yeha. Dog is forever my dress-up doll for cute outfits I want but can't afford. Once again, living vicariously through this guy, it never ends. Before I get into everything about rendering, looking at Dog's ref sheet I pulled up here, can we talk about style inconsistency for a moment? I know same face syndrome is a common issue artists talk about, but I'm quite the opposite. Every time I draw my OCs, they can look so drastically different. I question myself, like, is this even the same big titty man I intended on drawing? At this point, I think I've uploaded like 3 other different time lapses of Dog, and bro does not look the same in any of them. To be fair, one was an AU version that hardly has a face, so it kind of doesn't count, but like, still, my point stands. I think it's a funny problem to have when comparing one piece to another. It doesn't bother me enough to try fixing it, though to be fair, I wouldn't even know where to begin trying to solve that problem. Perhaps this is the ADHD in me, but I always crave something that feels a little new and different, even if it's the same OC, you know? But now we get to the fun part, rendering. Yippee! I'm starting off with Dog's abstract tattoo. I made an asset for myself to copy, paste, and edit where needed to suit the drawing. Continuing the point of Dog being my personalized dress-up doll, I 100% want to get this tattoo myself one day. I just love it. It's so pretty and a lot of fun to play with. It's actually super tied to Dog's lore. He was born to a celestial realm where when stars are going through their life cycle, there's a chance they can become a person. These starborn entities are all magically inclined, with an entire society built around that magic. And unfortunately, Dog was not only born from a black hole, but also with a curse. When he's around other celestial creatures, he sucks in all their magic, which in turn burns through his life. He typically starts off with an entirely white color palette, and as he consumes magic just from being near others, it starts manifesting across his skin as this tattoo. It even turns his hair into the gradient you see here. Eventually, it would take over his whole body and it would cause his event horizon. His curse is basically that he can't die despite all that, so I use that as an excuse to put him in a ton of different AUs, and he's lived a lot of different lives. It's a fun concept to play with despite the cliches of it all. For his stockings, I'm mixing two different brush sets together. One is a thicker cloth texture while the other is your typical fishnets. And something about both of them at once creates a really nice feel. I use the same method for his corset. This brush set even comes with a stocking highlighter that I love because it has this scattered sparkly edge that's super pleasing to me. Finally starting on that pearl belt I mentioned earlier, and seeing it in black is so pleasing. It scratches a certain part of my brain. Actually, with my commissions, I do a lot of bright, vibrant drawings with tons of color, and that's always super fun and a pleasure to work on, but I would say it's not 100% where my heart is at, if that makes sense. I'm quite drawn to limited color palettes that have darker or desaturated colors, especially when paired with like an accent color that pops, like a bright red or pink. Working on this has been a nice break from the super colorful drawings I'm doing most of the time. It feels right. It feels like coming home. Although, despite the style of coloring being my preference, I'm also not super good at it. Values are my enemy, if I'm being real. A big challenge I had with this drawing was balancing light and dark to keep everything clear and visible. Typically, I would say screw values and make that separation distinct by color, and throw on extra sparkly highlights to draw your eye further toward whatever is the focus. But this time I couldn't rely on my typical process because the only colors are black and gray with subtle pinks thrown in the mix. I'm quite the intuitive type of artist. I don't really think a whole lot while I draw. I just go by feel most of the time. When I make a decision, it either feels right or it doesn't, and I'll fiddle with it until it vibes. There's not much of a technical anything going on up there while working, so when I encounter issues like this, it tends to be a lot of mindless back and forth until I get results that I like. But I made it work, and I'm quite happy with the results. And in the end, if you enjoy how this turned out and would like to see this big titty man adorning your wall, I've added this print to my big cartel shop, which is linked below. In this last section, I'm working on filling out the last few details needed to be rendered and clean up any messier sections that I haven't gotten to yet, or last minute texturing. Can't forget adding shinies anywhere humanly possible, as that is practically my staple. I'm realizing I didn't record this part, but I didn't like how empty his arm on the bottom was in comparison to how detailed the rest of his clothes were. So I went in and added a ripped up sleeve to give more interest in that area. As we're coming to the end of this video, I just wanted to say my thanks for sticking around this far into it. This is my first time ever doing a voiceover, so hopefully my nerves weren't showing too much. It has been a lot of fun, and I plan on doing videos in this format from now on, instead of my usual time lapses with just music in the background. I hope to bring you along my future artistic endeavors if you'd like to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and here are the end results.